So, I've been playing Drag X Drive for Nintendo Switch 2, and I just want to talk about it. Is it Drag X Drive? Is it Drag and Drive? I don't know. Let's talk about it. If you've been following me for long enough now, then it is no surprise to you that I'm a big fan of like weird, gimmicky Nintendo stuff. Always have been, always will be. So on first glance, the second they announced this game at the Switch 2 Big Direct, I'll be honest, I was kind of excited. I didn't really care if this was going to be just the Switch 2 equivalent of ARMS, the big brand new IP with unique motion controlled idea. Like, okay, whatever. It's not a retail game, so right off the bat, I wasn't going to expect as much as ARMS, and the fact that it is a motion-controlled wheelchair basketball game. They don't call them wheelchairs in the game, they just call them like unnamed vehicles. Okay, fine, wheelchair basketball is a thing in real life. I can't think of another video game that actually goes for that idea. Cool, we have a very unique thing going on here with Drag X Drive, and regardless of anything that I say after this, I think that's pretty commendable. And I'll be honest, I think the core basketball gameplay is actually kind of fun. It all is going to depend on how willing you are to deal with the very gimmicky control scheme of using both Joy-Cons as mice and then occasionally having to lift them off of the surface in order to do jumps and to lean your character and then to throw the ball into the net. It is a very gimmicky gameplay loop with no option to play this with traditional analog controls, and that's probably for the best, because if you can play this game like a normal game with just the left stick doing everything, then this game would have absolutely nothing going for it, I'll be honest. But thanks to the really well done vibrations of the Joy-Con 2 controllers as you're swiping them through, you really feel like you're controlling these wheels that are under you, and I don't know, it just has a very tactile feedback to it that made me feel like I was in proper control the whole time. And honestly, when I get a ball and I'm going all the way across the court and I have a nice free throw right there with no one getting in my way, or even better, I go fast enough that I can go off the half pipe and then nail a dunk, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty satisfying. What I learned though, and this is going to be an interesting asterisk for any big mouse-controlled game on Switch 2 going forward, a lot of the enjoyment is going to come down to what material you're going to be playing on. They made a whole big deal that you can use the mouse mode on anything, and for some games, you're not going to need to be as intense as you will with this one. So like if you're playing Welcome Tour or the mouse games and the new Mario Party update, fine, it probably doesn't matter all that much, but I played Drag X Drive on both just basketball shorts on my lap, sitting down on a couch, and also on a table, and the game is dramatically worse when I'm playing the game on a table. It's such a weird thing I haven't dealt with any other console game in the past. It was like the combination of me using the Joy-Cons on something that wasn't attached to me, plus it was a louder noise because I was slamming the Joy-Cons onto tables. I had a fear that I was going to be slowly scratching the bottoms of my Joy-Cons the entire time. It made the game drastically worse than me just sitting upright and playing with the Joy-Cons on my lap. It is a very interesting thing that I'm going to have to go into mind with the Switch 2 going forward. Not every single mouse game is going to be played the same, and that's just a fascinating thing that I'm going to have to get used to over the next, whatever, 5-10 years. And the basketball is very simple. It's just a pick up and play 3v3 game. I'm often just going in with a bunch of randoms online. I have not really tried to do with connecting with friends because I've heard that that's not really as seamless as it should be. And it's just a bunch of free play. There's like no ranked mode or anything, so there's no real incentive to actually get better at the game. There's no trophies or anything, and difficulty options or extra rules to configure. It's just a very, very basic 3v3 basketball game, and it's fun in short bursts, but with no incentive to actually play it, yeah, that's a little unfortunate. But hey, there are a couple more things to do that aren't basketball. For one, in between a couple of the games, you can do these challenges with people online, like races. That's kind of fun. But for me, what I was more interested in is if you don't play online, or I guess you can do this in between games, there's a bunch of challenges throughout the entire park. And these are all kind of neat, like on the surface. They're all speedrun challenges. You have a set amount of time, and for a bunch of these, it's just a matter of going from point A to point B across all of these little flag gates as fast as you possibly could, and it is a good way to teach yourself how the mechanics of the game work and hopefully make yourself better for the actual basketball games. This stuff I'm super interested in. I'm always down for a bunch of little micro challenges in an otherwise multiplayer focused game. Great. But there's some problems here too. I think my primary issue with the challenges is that the time limit to get to the trophies are oftentimes incredibly strict, which for a game that has such a quirky, unique control scheme, I don't know if that's good. There were so many of these that like the time limit was 18 seconds and I would just barely pass that threshold when I felt like I made absolutely zero mistakes. And it's not like I want this game to necessarily be easy, but for there to only be one qualifier for what does or does not give me a trophy and it's this strict, I'll be honest, it's kind of annoying. You don't have precise control because you don't have the analog stick. These times need to be looser. And also one of the mechanics is a bunny hop, where like if you're holding the ZL or ZR buttons, that is a brake for the wheel that button corresponds to. And the way it works is when you're braking, you lift up one side to do a tilt, and then if you immediately do the other side, you'll do a bunny hop. It's not doing both at the same time. You gotta do one and then specifically time the other one, and honestly, that's very, very annoying. There is like zero reason to do any jumps at all for the actual basketball games. I feel like it's only there for the challenges. I'm sure you can jump off of the ramp if you need to, but you really don't have to. And it just feels like that mechanic could have been way better. Maybe there could have been something better instead for communication with your teammates, because teammates always refuse to pass the ball and all I have to do is wave my hands around and hope that they understand that's what that means. I like a lot of what this game is trying to do, but a lot of these aspects just do really feel half-baked. And I feel like for a lot of people who are complaining about this game, that's what I'm complaining about the most. At its surface, I actually think the gameplay loop is fun. I like that the basketball is there and it's fun, but there's no reason to do it for more than like any individual 1 or 2 rounds, unless if you just want to for fun. And who really plays games for fun nowadays, right? And the challenges are super cool, but they're super challenging because if you don't get the trophy, then you get like no indicator whatsoever that you even participated in the challenge in the first place, so okay. That's kind of annoying too. And then there's the issue of the park itself and the aesthetics. This is another situation where on the base level, I do like how this game looks. I like how these characters look. I think the wheelchairs are kind of cool. I think the customization you have for a bunch of different helmet types. You have 3 different classes, which again, I wish there were more there. And you have a handful of different color options and you can add like different material shaders to them. That's cool. And I do kind of like the grungy skate park look with a bunch of bright LED signs. I actually think that's a really cool look. But you need more than that. It's just the one. There's no variety whatsoever, and that's a shame. The music, same thing. It's like kind of neat and like upbeat when you're playing basketball. I couldn't hum it to you whatsoever, but could use a more diverse soundtrack as well. And a lot of these complaints just stem from the fact that this game is worth $20. I didn't expect as much as ARMS. ARMS actually does have a decent amount of content when it comes to the amount of playable characters. They all have different achievements. There's a bunch of different unlockable like ARM parts that you can use and you can mix and match to your heart's content per character. Cool. I don't know if that's worth full $60, but there's still a decent amount there. I expected less for a $20 digital-only game with Drag X Drive, but it really feels like there's only like $5 worth of stuff, and I mean honestly $10 would kind of be pushing it, but 20? There is simply not enough here to justify that cost. And that could change obviously in the future if they decide to drop some like free DLC. If they dropped paid DLC, then oh god, I don't know. That seems like a bad idea. So the hardcore gimmicky Nintendo fan in me does see some value in Drag X Drive because I think the control scheme is very interesting, gives me high hopes for the future for more games to do something like this. Like, you know, I feel like with everyone else, I want a Katamari game that plays like this. And I'm not gonna lie to you and say I got zero fun out of this. I do still enjoy this game, like the basic 3-on-3 basketball, I do find to be enjoyable. But as far as recommending it as well, like, I don't know, man. Unless you're a hardcore Nintendo gimmicky fan like I am, I mean, you probably would have already picked the game up anyway. And I almost feel like value-wise, if you're that much of a hardcore Nintendo fan, it's gonna sound insane to say, but you're probably gonna get more value out of Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Because the main appeal of that game, not like it's like a fantastic game or anything like that, is still the gimmicky things you can do with the Joy-Cons and all of the different attractions and mini-games. But at least there's attractions, there's mini-games. Here there's just basketball and a bunch of really strict time-based challenges. And they're the same price. They're sending Drag X Drive out to die, which is a shame because all it's gonna be known for going forward is that weird, not so great wheelchair basketball game because it's the only one of its kind. Cool, I guess. Man, God, the game's is gonna become less desirable over time too. Like ideally, the whole idea of using mouse mode, especially 2 mice for games going forward, is gonna be more of a normal thing. There'll be plenty of options in that field for Switch 2 that you're gonna have even less and less reasons to go back to this game unless you just want to see every little aspect of Nintendo's history. Similar to ARMS, you know, I would like to see them try and flesh things out a little bit more. I don't want these franchises to just sort of sit there and die, only ever to be seen as like a Smash Brothers trophy going forward. You know, I would like to see them try to do something with this because they made a whole new character, they made a whole new gameplay style. I have not gotten to play anything that uses 2 mice to control 1 character before and think that's really cool. There's a novelty to it, but if this is really it for the entire Drag X Drive experiment, oh god. So $20, absolutely not. If you're a gimmicky Nintendo fan, maybe if it goes on sale, I don't know. It's a Nintendo game, so it likely won't go on sale. It's a weird, unfortunate place to be in, isn't it? But I do at least like the fact that we got a Nintendo published and developed eShop game again. You know, I kind of miss the Wii U and 3DS eShop era of Nintendo actually making smaller budget titles that were digital exclusive, where you knew that you weren't going to get as much content, but it might still be a unique experience. But even with that novelty, there's just not enough here. Give me a ranked mode, give me more playable options, more unlockables. You need an incentive to play this game, not just playing it for the sake of it. It sounds stupid to say, but if you're gonna expect $20 out of people, you gotta give them reasons to actually do it, you know? I don't know, maybe this game will show up at like a big old sports game competition at some point. Maybe if Nintendo brings back the Nintendo World Championships, it'll pop up there, and then, you know, maybe it'll get a good buzz out of that. I don't know, this is a weird game. I don't know. I think everything would be much better if they just, if they put Mario in a wheelchair, I guess.